presenters, Dr. Eraj Ghafoori and Dr. Mary O'Neill. Well, today you can. Sorry about that. And their presentation, Adaptive Management as a Tool for Integrating Behaviour Changes into Programs and Organisations. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Brad. In fact, Mary and I are very happy that we scheduled to present right now. Not because it's a great presentation, we think they're going to stay with you for a long time, but there's actually evidence that says positive expectation may actually enhance memory retention. There will be lunch out there in 20 minutes. We're hoping that has a positive impact on this presentation staying with you for a long time. So Mary and I, in the next few minutes or so, are going to be talking about home power saving program, adaptive management paradigm and model, some critical factors in the program that facilitated the success of the program, and more importantly, implications for OEH and how that impacted on OEH, the way they operate, the way they think about similar projects and policies. So let's begin the presentation with some questions that are actually inevitable when it comes to evaluation time in the life of any organization, whether it's private or public sector, it doesn't matter. So questions around evaluation such as, when should we evaluate? Who should make the evaluation? What's the best approach? What do we do with that knowledge of data? And how often should we evaluate? I'm not promising you're going to get the answer to all these questions. Something that you can think about. So in 2010, a home power saving program commenced at the Office of Environment and Heritage in New South Wales with a budget of $63 million, aiming to assist 225,000 households reduce their energy consumption rate by up to 20%. The program targeted three main areas. The first one on the top left-hand side talks about financial difficulty in upgrading to home energy efficient appliances, lack of everyday general information about home energy use, and more important perhaps, lack of energy efficient behavior. Halfway through the program in 2012, they decided to evaluate the program just to make sure it's on track with what it's intended to. What they found was both positive and concerning. So they found out that the program is on track with meeting the 225,000 household assessments. It's actually costing a lot less than what is budgeted for also. And people are happy with the way the program has been rolled out. They're satisfied. But something is wrong with this code. But the concerning point was that in fact they did not get to the 20% that they aimed for, the 20% reduction in home energy consumption. In fact, they didn't get even close to it. The numbers actually showed only 4% reduction. And the biggie concern was that it was not even attributable to the behavior change aspect of the program. It was merely attributed to the free energy saving kits that were provided on the day by the assessors assessing the households. That's concerning. That's when you think, what happens to the kits if they break down and they decide not to use it? Pretty much nothing. So they had a dilemma, basically, OEH. They had a big question to ask. What should we do now? Should we continue with the program? The program is ticking all the boxes. So 125,000 assessment will be ticked very soon. Everyone's happy, costing a lot less. And they did exactly that, except they didn't. So they had a chat with us. They made the right choice of thinking about what would be the best way of tackling this problem. So obviously, if you don't explore the social dimensions of this issue and understand the behavioral insights or behavior solutions, I should say, underlying the problem, it would be a waste of time and resources in this important policy. So they thought about a new way or how to improve their learning from this or how to improve the program. And they thought it'd be a great idea, we thought it'd be a great idea, to apply adaptive management model onto the program. Now I'll tell you what adaptive management model is. So it's a paradigm that is based on the premises that uncertainties are inevitable part of any program and policy design and implementation. And as such, it treats policy and programs as refutable hypotheses that can be changed or altered in order to improve the outcome. So what you see on the right-hand side of the black line is pretty much the usual mode of operation in pretty much all organizations, so there are exceptions. They think about policy or a program, they design, they allocate people, they allocate budget, they implement it, and then they evaluate it, keeping fingers crossed that everything comes together the way it was intended to. I'm sorry about that. I think it's my, I'm excited. Yeah. So on the left-hand side, you see the recursive learning model that is recommended by adaptive management. So adaptive management is basically, it gives you two outcomes. The short-term outcome is to incorporate monitoring evaluation into every program, not just once or twice. It's a planned approach. Throughout the life of any program, you evaluate multiple times just to align everything with what it's intended to. That's your short-term goal. But more important than that is when you make an evaluation, you're in fact documenting your successes and failures as a result of that program. And that contributes to the long-term organizational learning. And that's what actually impacts on the competency and develops the competency of the staff in the organization. And should help them think differently next time they come across a policy program. So easy. Now, we have a model and a solution. Awesome, let's apply it. But not so fast. The problem is with adaptive management or any change program or change management in any organization, you have to have the right ingredient. And the most important ingredient is the right organizational, come on slide. The right organizational culture. So you have to have a nimble and agile culture that is for change. A culture that creates a safe to fail environment and is not risk-averse in decision-making, because if it's risk-averse, it stops change from happening. OEH is an organization that values autonomy. It values change when innovative ways of dealing with problems emerge. And with that mindset, they actually made the first change to their team. So the Home Power team, the Home Power Savings Program team was reconfigured to add a new member to the team. And that member had experience managing similar programs in the past. And actually that person became the champion. I seriously apologize because I don't know what's happening. And that person had some experience in managing similar programs. And in fact, that person became the champion of bridging the science gap, the science practice gap into the organization. So that person actually helped translate some of the evidence into practice and enhance the buy-in from the staff of OEH. I can give you an example of that long list, short list. So when assessors would approach households, they would provide them as part of their activity assessment, they would provide them with a long list of 20 items as what you can do to reduce your energy consumption. A review of the literature evidence showed that it's actually too many items and that reduces engagement. So we should drop it down to 3. But there was a bit of conflict there because OEH had the mindset of we have to provide all information to our clients, otherwise we are underserving them. The addition of that critical member to the team facilitated that and bridged that gap and allowed for that to happen. In fact, when we evaluated the program down the track, it actually enhanced the outcome. Another example is when assessors, so as I mentioned, there was only 4% improvement, unfortunately, and one of the reasons was because assessors didn't actually create a behavioral impact or didn't change any of the behavior of the households. So we found there is a gap there, and we decided to create a program to train them with behavioral techniques, and that took about 6 months. But what's critical here is, although the fact that we had an agenda, we know how to run a program like that, what was important was that we incorporated their experience into the program to make it actually a fruitful program. The program was a success at the end, and it actually won Premier's Award for Adaptive Management. But this is not all the story. So this is what I just told you right now is the context, adaptive management, and the short-term gains of how to apply adaptive management to make a program successful. More important than that is actually what Mary is going to tell you, which is the long-term benefits of applying this to any program and how that impacted in the way that OEH operated from that point on. Over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Mary O'Neill from the New South Wales Government Office of Environment and Heritage, and I don't have a PhD, but thanks for giving me one today, Brad. Okay, I'm going to be very careful with this thing. All right, so one of the, my colleagues in the room will be familiar with this. One of the key capacity building results of our foray into adaptive management in the Home Power Savings Program was it actually strongly influenced the way in the next round of programs that we delivered, the way in which we structured ourselves. And so what you can see here, we, just as a little bit of background, we are called the Metro Branch, and we deliver programs statewide, which doesn't really make sense, but nevertheless, that's why this central circle is called Metro Hub. Yeah, but just think of it as a hub, and it's a virtual hub where, or it's a virtual place where we can collaborate and for a better outcome, really. Okay, so so the grey circles are the program delivery units, if you like, the business units that actually deliver things to government, communities, households, business, and this one up here is focused on clean energy for everyone. But then what we've coined the Metro Hub is actually a way of organising ourselves, our structure, so that we don't sort of have adaptive management as an afterthought. That it's actually, there's whole teams of people focusing on the key elements of adaptive program management. So the group that I lead is called Research and Design, and we're involved in that stage of the program lifecycle where you assess the problem. If you can think back to the loop diagram that Eraj had up, I'm sorry, I'm not going to bring it up because I'll probably bring the slide set right back to the beginning, and I don't want to do that. So if you can just remember that loop diagram of, plan and implement and monitor and evaluate. So we get involved in assessing the actual problem and designing the solution to that problem. Down here, the other key component of the adaptive management expertise in our branch is the team of data and evaluation. So they help the delivery programs set up their program logic, their monitoring and evaluation plans, and their reporting, their data collection systems, the analysis of that data that makes that real-time monitoring of the adaptive management loop actually work. So you get to know how it's going before it's too late. Culturally, so here's just a little example from our intranet site. Over here you can see evidence that we really are doing program logics, that we are setting up monitoring plans. There's a little bit here about our data analysis, which is really quite schmick. Okay. This is meant to be research and design case studies. So we've even developed or initiated a knowledge management strategy over 5 years to make sure we have that solid evidence base for future programming and policies and programs that we have. And you can see one of our key research partners here is BehaviourWorks Australia. So culturally, if I can go back, culturally we've embedded that safe to fail mentality, I guess, from the top down. Our director is incredibly supportive of trying something. If you fail fast and try something different. So again, that lends itself to that continuous improvement loop we see in adaptive management. And so I talked about structure, and I think process I've outlined as well. I'm getting the red card that, all the expertise of people who can concentrate in the background on, best practice in program management and delivery enabled the best possible delivery for these guys. Now, I'm not saying we've perfected it, we're still on a journey, but our past experience has certainly given us that capacity and that encouragement, confidence to know that this kind of thing can work.
Any questions?
Questions? Oh yes, hi.
Yeah, hi. I was just sort of interested in sort of what data you've collected and how that's been used to actually improve the program. You mentioned originally you had this stretch goal of 20%, but range of 4%. Has any data been very helpful in closing that gap?
My word, yeah. So we had a audit, like a home assessment tool that we developed ourselves, or had a team of IT specialists develop, and every assessor had that. So there was all that data about all 225,000 homes going in and spitting out, the list of 20 action items that we narrowed down to 3 more important ones with the help of the householder, which was important. But in any case, you can imagine that huge data set of information, which is actually available on our website, de-identified of course, that huge data set, but also in understanding how did we arrive at the 4% change figure. We actually got the billing data of each of those households and looked at the, it was a very complicated process actually, but basically it didn't look at just before and after, it looked at a control group of people who didn't even know their electricity was being used in this, I guess, and then our group, and saw what the differences were between business as usual population and our group. Does that answer your question?
I obviously can't go into much detail. Just in terms of those top 3 actions that you identified, where I've been involved in similar programs, and often they are about curtailing behaviour, which turning up the lights and so forth, which aren't really going to make much of a difference. Are those top 3 about curtailment, or are they about investment in technologies that might actually make that?
Because it was targeted at households with a low income, like the selection process was having some kind of Centrelink card, so be it a healthcare card or a pension card or a veterans card. So a lot of the tips, the recommendations were focused on things that didn't cost money. We did find a bit of a skew to say that even though you had a card, sometimes you had a reasonable income or asset base. So, there were a few recommendations in there about getting solar on the roof or whatever that, that people chose to select. But the key thing was, I guess, that out of a list of, householders were shown which recommendations would have the most impact on their electricity bills. And I guess they weighed that up because they self-selected 3 and wrote them down. So I guess they weighed up what they were most likely to do out of a long list and put it down to a short list.
Yeah.
One more question?
I just had a question about how you manage your budgets around adaptive management. So do you have a quarantine amount of the budget or proportion of the budget that might be used partway through?
Yeah, we actually siphon off the program delivery budgets and yes, quarantine an amount to devote to data evaluation, research, design of programs, because often they can be an afterthought, so we actually make sure it happens.
Okay, I encourage you to follow up with Mary and Eraj at lunch. One final housekeeping thing. As you're aware, Josh Wright is somewhere in the air as we speak. No one really knows where, but he's on his way here. He will be presenting, and we'll all be invited to a free presentation later in the week, so someone will contact you about that. But Liam Smith will fill in for him at 12:50, so there will be a keynote speech. It will be in the main room, and Liam will be the person filling Josh's shoes. Thank you very much.